All right, welcome back to the morning update show, powered by Converge Media. So this segment right here, we talked about the death of democracy, maybe in the 37th district. It's some pretty real tough terms that have been thrown around, and we're going to discuss that this morning in our studio. We have Mr. Haywood Evans and Nana Kabibi both in the studio today. We got a wide shot for him, Daryl. Fantastic. You guys can wave at the camera.
Yes, I'd love to.
There we go. So, it's also good to show people as well, because you guys are in our elder population and you guys wanted to come out here and be in a studio, that we're very well distanced here, and we're in a studio of about 2,000 square feet, and there's a total of 4 people. Can you go to that wide? There, so there we are. So this is our studio setup here. So you've got 3 people here and Daryl. And we've got about 2,000 square feet here all together. It's important to let people know, say you guys are, there's an African proverb that says that every time that an elder passes, it's like a library being burnt to the ground. Mm. And so it's like we've got two big libraries here right now. You know what I'm saying? What a wealth of life experiences. I want to jump into what's going on in the 37th district, but before we go into the interview segment, I found a clip. It wasn't exactly like what's going on in the 37th, but similar. I found a clip from back in February, I believe it's from ABC News, where the Iowa caucus on February 3rd, they tried a brand new app to try to tally and transmit the votes out in Iowa. And what they found was using this untested technology for such an important process created chaos. And the fact that you might remember that the results out of Iowa were in dispute. You know what I'm saying? You had a few people claiming victory. You had Bernie Sanders claiming victory, and you had Buttigieg claiming victory. And also in this clip, though, they said that the biggest frustration, despite the technology failing, was that the Democratic Party there in Iowa refused to take any kind of accountability. Can you play that clip for us, Daryl?
Went wrong with this application?
Yes, what sources are telling Axios is that the app itself might not be super flawed, but all of the things around it that make an app useful were flawed. So the data transfer between the app and to the precinct people who were measuring the votes did not go well. People that needed to be counting the votes, that needed to download the app, only had a certain window of time in which they could actually download it, and some of them missed the window. There wasn't good communication around when you needed to actually download the app. There was concerns that voters were confused about how it worked. So there was just a lot of problems involved with this app. And at this point, no one is really rushing to take responsibility for it. The Iowa Democratic Party has put out some statements, but we don't have anyone that said, look, we are going to own up to this. And that's probably the biggest problem surrounding this app failure.
All right. So if we can get the wide shot, Daryl. So basically what we have here is we have Haywood Evans, like I said before, and Nana Kabibi, and both members of the 37th. Haywood, you say you've been in the 37th over 40 years.
Yes.
And you're currently a PCO there in the 37th.
Yeah, I'm a PCO in the 37th, and nothing like this in history has ever happened. And I feel a little saddened. I feel a lot saddened, to be quite honest with you, Omari. The issue is, they saw what happened in Iowa. It's an untested system, but for people to be disenfranchised, to be excluded from the voting process, was wrong. And from my observations, all options weren't explored. I.e., why couldn't there have been ballots sent out where people could have a mail-in ballot? Every member of the district, regardless, should have had an opportunity to vote. And clearly there are systems that could have been put in place, be it curbside ballots, be it a mail-in ballot, be it even checking in with people over the phone if you know they're a member. People were disenfranchised.
Right, but before I come over to you, Nana Kabibi, well, I wanted to kind of set the scene here as to how I understand it. You let me know if it's wrong.
Yes.
I think that my understanding is there's 2 issues here. There's a technology issue, which I think anybody who's been doing the Zoom calls, whether it's for work or even if it's just a family birthday party, the Zoom is wild, you know what I'm saying? And so I don't know how many people the Democrats had on the phone on the Zoom app, but Zoom is already it has its challenges. So there's the technology side of it, and then the voting and everything else through this application, which none of the members had done before. But then also there's an issue here where, yes, technology failed, but my understanding as well is that the leadership there, who's the chairman? Stephen
Riggins.
Oh, so the chairman
Stephen Reed,
yeah, exactly. The chairman, Stephen Reed, knew 100% that some people were not allowed to vote. And instead of stopping the vote right there and saying, hey, this isn't going to work, even if one person can't vote, then, you know, he was supposed to do something. But apparently what I'm hearing, I'm sorry, I think Haywood, you had a little bit more info, so I'm going to go right back to you with this real quick. My understanding is that the chairman of the 37th Democrats knew that people weren't being able to vote. Some of those people included our community elders, and still proceeded anyway.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And in fact, I'm one of the people that wasn't allowed to vote.
Exactly.
I've been in the district again over 40 years, and I've never not had an opportunity to vote. And clearly, the system, I'm not going to blame him yet. The system is flawed, but when there's one person controlling your ability to share your opinion or even to vote, and if I can't, then it's been flawed, and I think there needs to be a recount. Absolutely. And again, if I may, for those folks who don't have the technological wherewithal, they've been totally disenfranchised, particularly the older citizens in our community and the ones that don't have that much money. How many people can afford to have that kind of computer? How many people have 2 or 3 voters living in the home, yet only one can cast a vote? The system was flawed.
Right. And now, Kabibi.
Yes.
You know, we could actually do a show on you. We've done shows on you. You have such a storied history here in the Central District, and a contribution to our community and to the arts as a whole. You've been an engaged community member your whole life.
Yes.
You know, a treasured elder. I'm sorry, hey, I just know her. I've known her longer than
that
you.
Is good. I know her too and love her.
I don't mean to make you sound like chopped liver.
It's all good.
But you know, I mean, you're definitely a treasure and a gem. You know what I'm saying, over here. And so that's why when you called and said that, like, your vote hadn't been counted, that you've been passed over, I mean, we're obligated as young people here, we're obligated to take these concerns of our elders seriously. Yeah. You know, just like when Ruby Holland said that she was being harassed by the people trying to buy her house, and the predatory people. Yeah. As younger people, we're obligated to step up for our elders. So when I heard, like, you know, the emotion in your voice about your vote not being counted, I'm like, man, we have to do something. Maybe you can share with our viewers the process and how you felt about the process.
Well, let me first say that, you know, I was the president back in the day of AFTRA, and that's the American Federation of Television and Radio Artists. And you never not make it clear to the people that are voting what the vote is on, who you're voting for. I mean, there was no repeating of who you were voting for at the time. My experience, so to me that automatically makes, like you were saying, it automatically makes it where the vote should be taken over, the vote, it shouldn't be even counted.
That's right.
In my opinion, that's not the democratic way, that's not the American way of really being just. But I wasn't able to raise my hand. There was no buttons on, in my view, of raising your hand. There was no yes or no vote. There was no way for me to communicate because I blocked my camera for a short while I left and then came back. And when I came back, my picture was on from Facebook. My Facebook picture was on my box. Before that, they could see me, I could see them. So when the vote came and I had no yes or no button, I had no raise your hand button, I had no vocal because it was muted, and you couldn't see me. For me to say, hey, wait a minute, no, wait. I didn't vote correctly because I thought I was voting for who I wanted to vote for. And, you know, it was like the young lady that did. That whole process should have been done over. How can you have a vote and then somebody says, well, wait a minute, I didn't get a chance to vote. Now you take that vote and the voting has already been declared over. It was the most un-American way for a person to exercise their right as a citizen. And they knew before anything that I was there for Shikande, because they ask you, who are you voting for the 37th district? You had to do that when you signed in.
Right, and so, well, and let me hop over to you here, Haywood. When we talk about, so we talk about the technology, we talk about the chairman who, you know, people feel didn't make a good decision as far as knowing people weren't able to vote and still continuing the process. But Haywood, you talked about, you feel that some of the things were intentional in manipulation of the system.
If I may, just listening to Kabibi, I had the same circumstance. To the extent that I had called in to one of the people on the executive committee, they forwarded my request to the chair to be a part of the conversation. Denied. In fact, they cut her off.
Wow.
Then I called Lim Howe, attorney Lim Howe, civil rights attorney Lim Howe, who they did allow to come on to talk on a legal issue. And Lim told me he got through because of Michael Wolf, who's a lobbyist in Olympia. I contact Michael. Michael cuts me off totally. Next thing I know, I'm unable to vote. I never got an opportunity to vote. And they know I'm a Shikande supporter too now. They know this. I'm unable to vote, didn't have a chance to submit for that election or even for Sharon Tomiko Santos. I wasn't allowed to vote. My computer came back on after the elections in the 37th district. But additionally, the conversation, I'm typing it in, so I'm trying to communicate with them. I try to copy it so that I have a document reflecting our communication. Wouldn't let me copy it.
Right, right.
So now it's my word against their word. But regardless of all that, there's been an injustice here. This is truly not democracy. Right. And from my perspective as, again, a lifelong Democrat, somebody who's been very active in the political system for the party, for the people, for me to be removed from the process, for all these people to be removed, it's wrong, should be revisited, and I think there should be another election. From my heart. Absolutely. It was wrong.
And you feel the same way?
Exactly. But not only was I not able to vote, but looking at it and seeing there's no way for me to communicate, I said there was a thumbs up. That was what was on a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Well, I'm, thinking, because I really thought I heard him say one time that we were voting for Shikande. It was like, okay, they're trying to keep me from voting, because it felt like it was an attack on, I'm not going to let you vote. So I saw the thumbs up. I'm thinking I'm voting for Shikande, so I pushed, thumbs up, not even really knowing if that's going to have me shown or not. I'm just taking a desperate leap of faith of maybe, just maybe, my thumb up will come up. Because like I said, I had no buttons, no yes, no no, no hand up, no, I was hitting chat and it was insane.
My computer went black.
Yes.
It went black at that time.
Yes.
Did it? Something else that we heard as well is that the 37th sold family memberships. And so family membership being just that, if everybody's in a household, basically, a household membership. And they sold the membership, and the way they sold the membership is that one person on one device could buy the membership for all the members in the home. Right. So that means that, husband could buy it for wife, or wife could buy it for husband and all the kids, or however. That one device and that one person could purchase multiple memberships for people inside the home. However, when it came time to vote, the rules were that each person in the home had to have their own device that could now log in to Zoom. And so a lot of people that are moving in this everyday ecosystem might be like, oh, man, I've got my phone. Daryl over there has his phone and everything else. But we do know, especially with our elder population, is that one, a lot of times they might not have a phone that's this super smart phone that you can put all these apps on. Sometimes a lot of people in the 37th, we know they're on a fixed income. They got, you know, these subsidized phones and devices and everything else. And beyond that, another issue that I don't think there was enough sensitivity, considering that you have elders voting, if the only option, if you're limiting them to one device, what if husband and wife are sitting there and they both have poor eyesight, but they use the computer because the screen is larger? You see what I'm saying? So if someone has an option to vote on something this big, or an option to vote on a screen, a monitor at home, but now only one person can vote because it's only one vote per device. You get what I'm saying?
Yes, I do, sweetheart. And what's really something about that, we were all told that you had to be on a computer. They had told us in the community that we couldn't do it on our phone.
There you go.
No, really.
So that means you had to have 5 computers, you know, in the home. If you had a household, it's 4 or 5 people, you had to have 5 computers. But the membership wasn't sold to 5 different devices. You get what I'm saying?
But clearly, they should have examined other options.
Right.
Again, from my observation, every person in the district who was a member should have gotten some kind of ballot. Clearly, why would I have to go on the computer to cast my vote? Even to make me do that, to be there at this meeting on the computer during the time of a pandemic, that's wrong. That's just being inconsiderate. That's being uninclusive. In fact, that's being suppressing the vote.
That's right.
To control it,
Absolutely.
control the
Right.
outcome.
And why do you think, I mean, I'm assuming that the chairman is in the position because the chairman, one, knows all the rules, you know, or either has a team around that knows the rules, and that the chairman has the best interest of the group at heart. Why would the chairman, you know, deviate from, I mean, the technology failure is one thing, but why would the chairman not stop the vote? Why would the chairman, you brought up all of these issues here. If it was just technology, we'd be like, let's see how we can figure it out. But these issues go much deeper than technology. And I'm wondering, is there a culture that's in the 37th that now has manifested itself here? Are these the kind of people, are these, you know, are they cyberbullying with, you know, I mean, with Nana Kabibi, if she walked right there to cast her vote, would they have been able to look her in the eye and say, you can't vote? Or are people tough guys because they're running an election over Zoom?
I'm saying they're tough guys. I'm saying that I feel in my core it was orchestrated. The outcome was orchestrated. I would be interested to know who voted. Let me see the count. Let me see the exact people. How many people who we know that would have voted for our candidate were denied access? But again, it goes even beyond that. The 3 people at the top, I don't want to be throwing out the race card, but I am. 3 white men ran everything during that meeting. Absolutely ridiculous. And the chair, Reed, the chair, had total control. And while I'm waving my hands and doing everything else, next thing I know, I'm off.
That's right.
I'm off the screen, period, till after the vote.
It's back to my point of, if you know that technology made a mistake, you know something's wrong, you know that there was a fly in the ointment, then why aren't we just taking the votes over? Come on. I mean, really, if you really, you know that you were having problems. These are not things that we're making up. You know that everybody's vote was not counted.
That's right.
So why in the heck aren't we just, hey, sorry, because this is new to us, we don't know what we're doing, you know, there was a mistake made, please let us do this over. Whatever, but come on.
You know, I love what you're saying, Kabibi. We're supposed to be the party of inclusion.
Exactly.
We're supposed to be the party with the big umbrella to embrace everybody. And if you know we're having an election that's critical, because we're talking about our representative down in Olympia.
That's right.
This is critical. This is direct. Not to have an opportunity to vote, that's wrong. And they could have taken other steps, used other means to make sure everybody had an opportunity to cast their vote as a member of the party within the district.
That's right.
Right. Well, it seems to me that, you know, once again, where people might have an opportunity to make things right. You know, most people in any situation are very forgiving. People understand.
Exactly.
100%, man. People understand. But I think where a lot of people trip up is that they don't make that outreach. They're not like, hey, you know what, something went wrong. Let's just try to fix this. Let's move forward and everything else. I think also as well that there might be what we've found the value of these platforms that we've developed here and other platforms, Tony over there at Rainier Avenue Radio and the Emerald coming up, is that previously a lot of times people didn't really have a voice to go to. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I mean, you know, there's our existing media, KRIZ and KZIZ, which also do a very good job. But the fact is now is that, like, man, this follow-up is here across multiple platforms. And before, people, you know, elders like yourself might have felt slighted by an organization, and what was you gonna do? You see what I'm saying?
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, but it's like, it's here now, you know, I mean, there's a platform for you to be able to tell your story. Man, we'd love to hear from the 37th District Democrats.
Yes.
I mean, we'd love to hear you guys explain your process, you know, explain what went wrong. Clearly, we know some things went wrong. And also explain what's the next step for the 37th. Like, are you guys gonna do a revote? Are you sticking with this current vote? Are you sticking with this current voting technology in case there's more votes to come up internally, or, you know, in the near future? Like, what exactly is going to happen? We're going to take a short break right now, less than 1 minute. We're going to come back and we're going to continue the conversation with Haywood Evans and Nana Kabibi. You're watching the Morning Update Show.
I was at the grand opening of the Liberty Bank building, and I just saw so many folks there who had dreams and aspirations of something like that happening again in our community, where once that was the norm, we developed, we build, we created, and now to have to say we got to come back and do it again, this is just the first time, was inspiring to me. I think it also I think Africatown has created a model that others can follow, but I also think that you guys have created, you know, just an energy around the community of folks that are now believing that we can, you know, hold on to it. We're not done. You know, it's not over. The game ain't over. Sometimes, you know, when you look at the clock, you know, I'm playing sports, you know, you down 21 points in the first quarter, you can either start working harder to get back in it, or you can shut it down and say it's over. Well, you guys have let us know that the game's not over. It's not over.
Welcome back to the Morning Update Show. My name is Omari Salisbury. We're having a conversation here with Haywood Evans and Nana Kabibi about, man, voter disenfranchisement in the 37th District Democrats. It sounds like some of our community elders are getting a runaround with their vote. The vote hasn't been counted. Before we go back into this conversation, though, we got a few comments here. First of all, Triana says hi to everybody, and she says that she's ready to be back here tomorrow. You know, that's my road dog.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And Hayward's actually in Triana's seat. She was like, he can't be looking better than me on my seat. And so LaQuenta, let me get it right. You know how people are. LaQuanta Q. Jackson said that she tried getting attention by raising her hand and was not recognized. You know, I'm sure there's quite a few people. You know, we moved over here. You know, me and Daryl, and we activated all this because of the fact that it's our elders. And it was, you know, the first time I heard about this was through Nana Kabibi. And, you know, it's an obligation that you guys are our most cherished part of our community, the most cherished part of our society. And you know, and at times, sometimes you get to be, you know, in a vulnerable part as well. And so it's like, man, you know, we're obligated, you know what I'm saying? And I have no problem saying that it's like, man, we want to be able to put our news resources here to really get to the bottom of this. You know what I'm saying? I mean, just literally justice must be served, because that's what we're talking about. When we talk about, and maybe let me stop talking here and throw this out to my elders as to what does the vote. Now, this is the vote for the 37th district, but what is the concept of voting? All these years of your life, this life you've seen in America, how important is the vote? And why is this a big deal that you guys aren't just letting it go?
Well, if you don't mind, the vote, to me, they've always kept us from, you know, throughout the United States history, we have always been the people that they try to make sure our vote doesn't count. And those are the things that we've got to change in this country, is our voice being silenced, be it error from technology, it's time for us to not go for and be part of a system that is leaving us out, disenfranchising us. That's my fight. It's like, okay, it's time for us to start building like we are at Africa Town, like we are at Black Dot, like we are throughout cities throughout the United States. It's time for us to do that. And I think if we really push and stick together and build, we will become victorious. But not if we sit back and let the injustices of not counting our vote, of hanging us and lynching us and killing us to keep us from being counted. We've got to stop. It's got to stop. It's got to cease.
Come on, within my lifetime, Voters' Right Act of 1964, come on. I look back with the dogs, Selma, Alabama, everybody, you don't know what happened. And if you're a descendant of United States enslaved, if you're a black person here in America and you don't vote, you're doing yourself an injustice. Me, as one of the elders of the community, now it's time to pass that on to our young people. They need to be involved. That's why I support our candidate, right? Candidate, why? He is the next generation leadership of our community. We have to do everything in our power, from my observations, to get him elected. It's time to pass. I don't know how much longer I'm gonna be here.
That's
I got
right.
my friend, you know Tony Orange. Yeah. Come on, God is good. The brother passed.
Yes.
Who are we passing this torch on to? Now it's your turn.
Yeah.
It's the young people here in our community. We
right.
want to say, we've been the trailblazer.
Yep.
Now we're appreciative that you're coming behind us, but in that same vein, we need you to take the lead now. Take the lead for us, and that's why I'm very appreciative to be here. Everybody out there, I encourage you, look at Selma. Look at the movie Selma. And then I think that sort of puts it in perspective. We have an obligation. It's the only way to protect our interests. But going back to the 37th, my vote wasn't counted. Kabibi's vote wasn't counted. I submit to you, there's a lot of folks in the community who supported our candidate. Vote wasn't counted. And clearly, the 37th district leadership needs to hear this, and they need to revisit it and have another election, in my opinion.
Period.
All right. Well, you heard it here. So, you know, leadership of the 37th district, you've heard it from two of your constituents. One who's over a 40-year member down there in the hall, who's also a PCO. So, you know, I would consider this as a serious issue. Yeah. Where we're doing you a public service by bringing you this information directly for you to be able to act upon it accordingly. So the 37 Democrats might come out with a statement saying, oh, this is whatever, this is how it should be, or the 37 Democrats might concede that, hey, a new election needs to occur. But 37 Democrats, you can no longer say you're not aware of the issue.
That's right.
This is the Morning Update Show. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, man, we got a few melanin moments for you. This is the Update Show.